Could you be uploading too often to YouTube? In this video, we're going to examine the idea of whether you can upload less to grow more. We're going to kick it off by sending it over to Rob from Casual Navigation, who is going to tell us his story and let us know exactly the way he's approaching this concept.
Hi Dan, it's great to be here. Well, I started out on YouTube at the end of November 2017, so we're looking about 18 months ago now. And basically I started because I wanted to learn about video production and editing.
So Rob, when you first started out, how often were you uploading and what did your schedule look like?
As for schedule, my very first one was 2 videos a week. I posted once on a Friday and once on a Tuesday. The Friday ones were always meant to be like a tutorial or something like that, and the Tuesday ones were a bit more general interest, so almost like 2 series running at once.
Now I've seen some of your content, it looks a bit involved. How long did it take you to make each video?
To start with, they were all pretty quick to make. I used a program called Academic Presenter, which you can use to make a presentation a bit like PowerPoint, and then I just recorded that with a voiceover using OBS, the open broadcast software.
So after you did those, what was the editing process like?
All the editing, that was done in VSDC, the free video editor, but that was quite simple as well. That only really consisted of cutting out any errors in the speech, so that was also very quick.
So you're uploading 2 videos a week with what sounds like a fairly manageable process. What was it like for your channel early on?
I thought my channel began in kind of a pretty typical way, to be honest. Then almost exactly 2 months after my first upload, one of the general interest videos started to take off a bit. I know you talk about gateways to yourself, Dan, and this was definitely mine. It was actually about then that I found your channel too, with your video, what was it, how to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours.
And at that point you were still posting twice a week?
Actually, it was about then that I realised 2 videos per week just wasn't sustainable for me anymore. I dropped down to once a week and actually promoted that as my new schedule. I alternated between tutorials and more general interest content. It was manageable as the tutorials were a long series and all followed a similar format, so they were quick to make. I could get a few done and then spend longer trying to work on the other videos. The only thing was, I still wanted to keep learning myself. That's the whole point of me doing this. I started using Blender to make 3D animations, which you can see in this video from last October, I think it was. And if any of your viewers have actually used Blender, they'll know it's great fun, but it takes absolutely ages to make anything.
And that's really interesting because one of the things that I talk about on this channel is the idea of trying to improve over time. And for some, depending on the type of content that you're making, that ability to improve your content may result in longer edit times to put out a higher quality video. So at some point we may be faced with a decision. Do we want to continue to put out multiple videos at our current skill set, or do we want to learn more, develop our skills, and start putting out higher quality content? Now, if we do that, then obviously we have the chance that it's going to take us longer to do that, and in turn, we got to make sure it still fits into our schedule.
I was having so much fun learning, experimenting, I just didn't notice how long the videos were taking to make, until suddenly it hit me and something had to change.
So how did you go about changing at this point?
I started making my content to fit in with the schedule I had set for myself. That was okay for a while. I could make a series of videos and use the same 3D models across multiple videos. That carried on fine until about the start of this year actually, when I wanted to make content that just wasn't deliverable within 1 week. Again, I wanted to stick within my schedule, so I tried another series which could reuse a lot of content and be produced a lot quicker, and publish that in between my normal content.
And what was your experience trying that?
Looking at the analytics across the whole period, it was all quite steady actually. You can see the graph is pretty flat here. People were gradually finding the content, but the channel itself wasn't really growing. So in April this year, I sat down, I went through all of my analytics properly. I kind of had a theory that maybe people weren't interested in the new stuff, and I might have been confusing YouTube a bit with what my channel was really about. To test that, I gave myself 3 months to run a trial of a new schedule, posting every other week instead. I stopped all the content that I was making purely to meet my old weekly schedule. I've actually removed all that completely now, it just wasn't necessary. I thought it was a good time to start making more of the content that had been successful in the past. Those always took a lot longer to make, but they're some of the most fun ones to make as well.
It's definitely important to have fun with our content. How did you go about making those?
My process is a bit longer. I start by writing out a script to make sure I cover absolutely everything. Then I record and edit down the audio just using Audacity. With all that in place, I then make the graphical assets that I'm going to use in Adobe Illustrator, things like images of ships and equipment, things like that. Using Illustrator means I can make vector images which don't pixelate when they're scaled in the animations. Then I import the audio into Premiere Pro and I chop it up to get the precise length of different scenes. Each scene can then go into After Effects where I can build the animation, matching it up to the audio exactly. Occasionally I do still use Blender as well to make a scene like this flyover of a ship. You can see overall it's just a long process and it's too much to do every single week.
So that's really interesting that you committed to making videos every other week instead of that old standby of you must make at least a video a week. How's that gone for your channel?
To be honest, the channel's exploded since then. Posting every other week means there's time to make all these nice animations, and that actually dramatically improved my retention rate as well. Within a few weeks I got the first video that had 1 million views, and a couple of my previous ones have now gone up past 1 million as well. In terms of subscribers, I started the experiment with about 18,000, and within a month that had increased threefold.
Wow, those are some pretty big improvements. What do you think's been the biggest lesson?
Biggest lesson I've learned is you just don't need to post daily or even weekly to grow. I've now got myself a schedule that fits with my content rather than making the content fit with my schedule.
And that's a really important lesson. As much as everybody talks about schedules, it's so much more important that you are making a schedule that fits the level of quality that you want to make in your content, and you're not trying to dumb down the quality to fit your schedule. So at some point we may be faced with a decision. Do we want to continue to put out multiple videos at our current skill set, or do we want to learn more, develop our skills, and start putting out higher quality content? Now, if we do that, then obviously we have the chance that it's going to take us longer to do that, and in turn, we got to make sure it still fits into our schedule. So based on your results so far, what's your plan going forward?
Going forwards, I'm just going to see how it goes. Hopefully the new style will continue. The only thing is I still like doing the tutorials, so I'm wondering how to work them in, given that most new subscribers aren't with me for the technical stuff. Maybe I'll need to shift those and work with somebody on a new channel or on a separate website or something like that, but we'll think about that in the future. Otherwise, the whole point of YouTube is to have fun while doing it, so all the while that continues, I'll still be there and I'll be posting the videos.
And that's so important. If you are on this YouTube journey and you're not enjoying yourself, it's really important to take a step back, try to understand what your motivation is and what you can do to enjoy the process. There's no way you're going to be able to stick with this long term if it just becomes another miserable task for you or a chore, something that you dread doing. You really want to enjoy creating your content. So this has been a great example of someone who recognized that and looked at a way to incorporate a schedule and a process on their YouTube channel that matched what they truly enjoyed doing, and the results so far have looked pretty favorable. I want to thank Rob from Casual Navigation for sharing his story with us. Super powerful stuff, and it's definitely in contrast to what you hear across YouTube about more content, more content. This is a great example, at least in the short term, of how improving your quality outweighs putting out more content. Thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate you coming to spend some time here on Creator Fundamentals.
No, thanks for having me, Dan. Your content's been a great help to me, and hopefully my story today will help other people struggling to keep up with their schedules as well.
Let me know in the comments, have you ever considered higher quality less often? I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video.